thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak. And when you're number 8 delegate, most of the points have been raised, so I don't want to belabor that, but I want to just support some of the delegates you've already heard from. My name is Irene O'Toole, and I am the grandmother of children in the school system, and I'm also Jewish. I come from a family that was mainly exterminated in Auschwitz and Bergen-Belsen during the Holocaust, and I was born into anti-Semitism. I was born in anti-Semitism in England, where you can imagine, just as the war was beginning, that there was an enormous amount of anti-Semitism going on. So I have expertise in that area too. I feel that the IHRA, that I want to just talk about very briefly for a few minutes, I feel that the reason why we need to oppose the IHRA is actually in this room. At the moment, I feel the tension in this room. We've had extremism in our conversations from delegates, which is very scary for me. And I think that that kind of extremism creates the polarization that none of us, the school board, the community, we do not need polarization. So I want to try and, if we can think in terms of how we can come closer together on this, because it's very concerning that we have that extremism. The motion, the IHRA motion, comes from a neoconservative, fundamentalist, supremacist background, as you've already heard. And in actual fact, it's focused on shielding Israel from legitimate criticism of its human rights violations towards Palestine. When I'm talking about Israel, I'm not necessarily talking about the Jewish community, because we know in Israel, the election, we just elected the most right-wing government in the history of Israel a week ago. Right-wing, most right-wing government. So Israel has that challenge as well. When we talk about Jews and the Holocaust, we talk very much about never again. Certainly in Europe, never again is the mantra that we use about the murder of 6 million people, and not all of them were Jews, we need to remember as well. But when we talk about never again, we're talking about never again to anyone. We're not just talking about the privileged group of people who are Jewish. Privileging in itself is polarizing. We all are entitled to never again for any of us when it comes to the Holocaust. We cannot achieve human rights and justice if we have that kind of privileging. So I'd like, when I'm speaking, if you could just focus on that too, that polarization that comes from that privileging is very dangerous. The reasons I would like to bring to you to oppose, and many of them you've heard, so I'm not going to be long talking about this. The IHRA definition absolutely does not address anti-Semitism. It addresses the desire for control of the promotion of activities that actually are human rights violations against every Palestinian. The dehumanizing of Palestinians is a critical issue, and I think that we really need to look at that too. This is a balance. This is not just about Israel. Palestine is not invisible. Palestine exists, 5 million Palestinians exist, and we have a responsibility to be very cognizant of that need too. The IHRA definition, as interpreted by the Zionist agenda, falsely relates the criticism of Israel to anti-Semitism. And as I say, I come from anti-Semitism. But to criticise the bombing of homes, the removal of homes, the digging up of the oldest olive trees in Palestine, this is not anti-Semitism. These are human rights issues, and they're issues that none of us can sleep well with. We all need to speak up. And it doesn't matter whether this is Canadians doing this with Americans or Israelis doing this with Palestinians. That piece is irrelevant. It is a human rights violation. The international laws state that it's a violation of the international laws. So we all need to take responsibility to speak up for this injustice. We do have solid anti-Semitic laws in Canada. No, they're not always effective. No laws are. But we need to, again, to take that responsibility. We have laws within the school board, rules, policies within the school board to deal with anti-Semitism, and everybody within the school board and the community needs to take responsibility to actually make sure that they are enforced equally across the board. Palestinians have a right. We heard that from one of the delegates who represented the Palestinian Congress, so I think he was very articulate on that. Palestinians have a right to housing, education, employment, family relationships, and above all, a right to respect and dignity from all of us, regardless of whether we're Jewish or non-Jewish or what we are. And that invisibility and dehumanizing of Palestinians is very oppressive and very wrong. And we need to stand up for it. By using anti-Semitism as a shield, the IHRA seeks to continue that persecution of Palestinians through its illegal policies, unabated with this definition. What this definition is saying is it's okay to do this, because otherwise we become anti-Semitic. We also need to know that not all Jews are Zionists. And again, you've heard that, so I'm not going to repeat that again, but many Jewish groups in Canada, in Israel, all over the world, absolutely, totally oppose the IHRA. Even the architect of this motion, Kenneth Stern, really regrets the use of this, the manipulation of this motion to really close down discussion on free speech around the issues of Israeli actions. This motion is the antithesis of the school board's mandate to provide safe and nurturing learning environments for all children, parents, teachers and staff. This is not just about anti-Semitism, it's not just about racism. The big piece that's missing in this whole discussion is anti-Palestinian racism. So what about this Palestinian child whose parents say in the morning, please tell everybody you're from Greece, to try and protect their child from anti-Palestinian racism? And that's happening today in our schools. Please tell everybody that you're from Greece. So I think it's a real danger to all of us to even be having this discussion. And as I say, I kind of sense that in this room tonight, that this is so contentious that my question really is, why are we even having the discussion? And I know it's a motion that's on the table.
1 minute. 1 minute.
Yeah, my questions are, how are we considering all aspects of this? How are we considering those children who are told, tell everybody you're from Greece? So we need to consider that, and we need to consider the safety of everybody. All our children are entitled to equity. And finally, I'd like to just say it's critical that we deal with this motion tonight. I know there's some debate about that, but this motion is traumatizing for Jewish children, Palestinian children, and all of us in this room and beyond. And it needs to be dealt with tonight. We need to put this to bed so that we do not have to have this discussion again. It's a huge threat to our community, way beyond the school board. Thank you very, very much.